Okay, so today we're going to take another look at the for loop. Let me get to it. And so in yesterday's video, we showed you a couple of things. First thing is we have two lists here. So we have a list of names and a list of numbers, which I've called weights. And so just to remind you, when you create the list in Python, you're using square brackets and not parentheses or the curly braces. And so that was really important. So the key thing here is that we're now going to iterate through all of the items in our list or in my list, okay? And this is where the for loop becomes very valuable to us, okay? So we're going to use the variable name for each of these lists. And I did it first using names. And so for name in names, and this is just a variable, pulling each of the indexed positions out just for that loop. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in names, and just print it out every 2 seconds. And that was simple enough, and you could execute that and you could see how it functions and all good. We did the same thing for the weights, and I think I erred in the previous video in saying that there were only 5 uh, weights in my list. There were actually 6, and what we do is we iterate through each of the 6, print out that number, and each of them is an integer, and then whichever weight is under 200, and there are 2 of them, also print out underneath that weight, whatever it is less than 200. So all good. So I said we were going to move on from there and we're going to add value to these ideas. And so we're going to run through that loop one more time for weights and weights, colon. This time we are going to we're going to create a new variable, and this variable is called total weight. And it's right here, total weight. And just like we iterated through the while loop by adding a value to I, if I is less than 10, iterate through the loop because that value is true, but don't forever iterate through the loop. We want to stop it at some point and we want to get to the value where I is equal to 10, and thus the while loop will stop. So to do that, we actually added the 1 to the value of I. So I equals I plus 1. So whatever I is, we're going to add 1 to it, and then that creates the new value of I. We're going to do the same thing here with total weight. So total weight equals total weight plus 0. Well, right now, total weight is what? Total weight is 0. It's right up here. Total weight is equal to 0. So 0 plus whatever current weight is, and so it'll run through each of the weights in the list, just like it did up here, except this time, instead of just, telling me what they are, all I want to do is make that calculation. Now, I could easily add this print statement, and I'm going to do it a couple times. So I'm going to show you it live. So the total weight is colon, comma, total weight. Now, I say that to say I do it a couple times. So I just did it live here. I do it down here, and then I do it again. Somewhere down here. Okay, all good. But in order to add the variable name to a print statement, you have to use the comma. If it was a string, we would use a plus, and we'll do that at some point. Oops, sorry. We'll do the plus, and it's called concatenation. However, in order for the Python program to recognize this, because it is an integer, we do want to use the comma. So I'm going to do this print statement, and it's actually going to print out every time. So we'll see it change. And just for the fact of seeing it change, we'll do the, really? Time dot sleep 2. Save that. And we'll see that change. We'll do it again. We'll call the total weight when it's completed. And every time it changes, it's going to be stored way up here. So there's a piece of my memory in the computer that's saying total weight, what it is. So good. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to print it out. And then we're going to take a look at something else. We're going to take a look at the length, the LEN function. So what we want to do is find out how many items there are in my list. So we could do that for a couple of things, and we will moving forward. But right now, we just want to take a look at how many items are there in weights. Weights, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when we call this number of weights, there are 6 items in my list. And why is that important? Well, right now, for this particular program, I want to find out the average weight of those 6 weights. And so in order to do that, we know that the math means to add up all of them, which is what we do up here, then divide by 6, because that's how many I have. And that will give me an average. Okay, so with that, we have number of weights, we have total number, we have total weight divided by number of weights, and that will give us an average. And I didn't actually do a passive variable. I actually just said, this is a one-time thing. So I'm going to draw the calculation here. Not going to pass that new value to any variable. I just want whatever that evaluates to show up in my print statement. Okay. So I don't have a new variable here. I could have easily have done this, have created the average weight equals what? Total weight divided by number of weights, and have passed that value to average weights, and then did this. What we'll do is we'll do this the slow and old-fashioned way, and we're going to do it twice. And we'll just call that variable. So you'll see it twice. We'll know that the first time when we do it the first time, we know that we're actually just running the calculation, and then we've already run the calculation. This will be here, and we'll do it again. We'll sleep for 2 seconds. We'll say the end for 2 seconds. The program will stop. Okay, so with that being said, let's see if it runs. And it's going to run all the way from the beginning. So we're going to see some of the things that we saw in the previous video. And what we'll do is after it runs, we'll come back up here and look at the program and its output. So we're going to run through the list of names. And we have 5 names, good, just making sure. We have 6 weights, 2 of them less than 200. Good. The total weight is 187, the total weight is 383, and you see how when it's running through the loop, it's going through this structure right here, it's adding to that value. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. And then we want to print out that value. Okay, good. So you saw that. So the total weight, and this all up here is this right here. So total weight changes. And that what we want to do at that point of change is tell me what it is. And that's exactly what it does. And it does so in this print statement. Then it says the total weight is this. The total weight of the list of weights is total weight in pounds. So that's what this statement is. Okay, let's scroll down a bit. Then it says, find out what the number is, how many, length, the length function, how many items in my list. Okay, pass it to this variable. And here's that variable right here. So the number of weights in the list is 6. Cool. And then do it again. There are a number of weights in the list. There are a number of weights in the list. We're going to calculate the average weight stored in this variable. Then find it twice. First, just run the calculation. Run the calculation. Then pass this value here. Pass that value here. Same thing. The end, exits. Okay, cool. So that's the for loop in action. So this was really good stuff. This is going to take us forward. So hopefully this was of value to you, and I will see you next time.